Hey guys, welcome back to the Always in Season podcast, episode number 29. There were a lot of close games this week. I think there were three with walk-off field goals. So we'll start first with our weekly recap. Thursday Night Football, the Broncos beat the Saints 33-10. Bo Nix went 16 of 26, 164. Javonte Williams went 14 for 88 and two touchdowns. And Spencer Rattler went 25 of 35. 172, he was sacked 6 times. This was a really bad game for the Saints. Mm-hmm. So I guess my question is, do the Saints have any chance once Carr eventually returns?
Yeah, it's hard to say because we still don't even know when Carr's returning. It helps because the Falcons and Bucks both lost this week. So
yeah,
I think you have to say yes, you have a chance because of the division they're in.
And the Bucks got banged up too.
The Bucks got banged up, and the Falcons didn't look great. And I think the Falcons. I think that was an anomaly for them that game. I think they're a better team than that. We've seen that, but yeah, I would still say the Saints have a chance. I'm thinking from what we first heard about the injury for Carr, I would think that he'd be returning in the next 2 weeks. Yeah. So I think they need to win another one of these, but. And because I don't know the Falcons and the Bucks play each other this week. Yeah. So that helps. At least one of them's going down. So they kind of have it good. The Saints play the Chargers. I think, yes, they have a chance, but it's going to be a tough. Like, they're going to have to basically almost win out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And make sure they don't lose another division.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Patriots-Jags. So this was another international game early morning. The 16-32 Jags. We kind of expected that the Jags would win this game. Drake May was 26 for 37, 276 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Pats had 40 total rushing yards. That is just, again, not a recipe for success. Hunter Henry was 8 receptions for 92 yards, but the defense had 0 sacks and 0 picks for the Patriots, which has been, their identity. Trevor Lawrence was 15 for 20, 193 yards and a touchdown. Tank Bigsby had 26 carries for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns, just absolutely dominated the game. Thomas Jr. had 5 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown, and their defense had 2 sacks. My question for you is, what is more concerning, the Patriots' defense or the Patriots' offensive line play?
I think their defense in this game was probably more concerning because it's this is looked to be their only bright spot on this team, and they got kind of humiliated by a Jags team that's not good. This is the Panthers and Patriots are the 2 worst teams in football. So I would say their defense is more concerning. Offense, you kind of expect they don't have no line, they really don't have weapons. They have Drake May, which is he's a rookie, so
he's been doing well for what he's toured.
So you have a guy to build around, but I think that defense needs to have some more consistency, and you need to lean on them more. I know you're not going to win a lot of games this year, but I would say that's more of an issue for them.
I do think Gerard Mayo put it a really good way in his post-game press conference by just saying we're a soft football team. That is what they looked like. They didn't show fight on their offensive line. They didn't show fight in receivers and tight ends blocking assignments, and they didn't show fight on their defense. So
yeah. So the Lions Vikings. This was one of the big games of the day. The Vikings won at a game-winning field goal, 31-29. Goff went 22 of 25, 280 and 2 touchdowns. Darnold went 22 of 27, 259, a touchdown and a pick. Gibbs ran all over them, 15 for 116 and 2 touchdowns. I guess my question is, will the Lions be okay without Hutchinson? Do they need a replacement for him?
I think they'll be fine without Hutchinson. I do. I think they have to be playing really smart, though. You know what I mean? They had opportunities, their defense did, where you can lose this game. They could have definitely lost this game. They're lucky that the Vikings didn't capitalize on some of the opportunities that the Lions gave them. Their defense is going to have to be more disciplined than they were, especially later in the game. But yeah, they can be fine without Hutchinson if they play smart.
Yeah.
Titans Bills. Bills won 34-10. Rudolph was 25 for 40, 215 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Titans had under 100 rush yards. Their leading receiver had just 50 yards. Josh Allen was 21 for 33 after a slow start, 323 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bills also had under 100 rush yards, but Keon Coleman had 4 receptions for 125 yards, and Amari Cooper in his debut as a Bill had 4 receptions, 66 yards, and a touchdown. My question is, should the Titans stick with Mason Rudolph?
I think he's looked better than Levis had. I mean, I don't think either of these guys are like the franchise guy. I think you've kind of bought, I would say, put more faith or time into Levis, but now like you Mason Rudolph showed he's the same, if not better, at times than Levis. Again, this is not a team that's going to do very well. I think this is a real conversation you need to have. I think Levis is tradable. I think Rudolph's tradable, but I think that I don't. I think this might be a situation where it's like we'll wait till Levis is 110%.
Mhm.
I don't think they'll rush him back. So yeah, I think we'll see what Rudolph can do. I think he should be there for the next couple of weeks and see if they are any better with him.
Yeah.
The Colts beat the Dolphins 16-10. Richardson 10 for 24, 129, 14 carries for 56 yards. Huntley went 7 for 13, 87 yards and a touchdown, and Tim Boyle went 8 for 13 with 74 yards. How much does Tua fix when he returns? Because it's kind of looking like he's coming back this week.
Yeah, which is fun. I think I don't know if it's about him actually fixing things because in the game that he went out, their offense didn't look great.
Right.
They lacked chemistry, they lacked
Mm-hmm.
consistency. Um, but I just think the energy that him coming back brings
Yeah.
to the team is what might help this team immensely. Now they played the Cardinals, who have struggled. They did win this week in a close game. It could be a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
It could be Tua comes back and the Dolphins. Like it's a team that you can beat,
Yeah.
but they have got to get it together now. Like they can't be losing more
Yeah.
games. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the Bills look like they're running away with the division right now. So if they want a wild card spot, they got to be winning.
Right.
Next up, we have the Seahawks Falcons. Seahawks won 34-14. Geno is 18 for 28, 207 yards and 2 touchdowns. Walker had 14 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. DK, 4 receptions, 99 yards and a touchdown. The Seahawks D had 3 sacks and 2 picks. Kirk Cousins on the other side was 24 for 35, 232 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks. Robinson, 21 carries, 103 yards and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts had a solid game with 7 receptions and 65 yards, and then London 6 receptions for 63 yards and a touchdown. Are the Seahawks for real or no?
I don't think so. They're just way too inconsistent. I think Gino is like Gino is a very good quarterback, but I think that I don't know. Like you see, I mean, the Niners they didn't look good against the Niners, and the Niners don't look good. So I think that the Niners, as bad as they are, they still are better than the Seahawks whenever they play them. I just don't think that the Seahawks are for real because I don't think they can win their division. I think they're at the top of their division right now. I believe. But still, I haven't seen that consistency yet. They have a big test this week against the Bills. I think if they show that they can hang with the Bills, I think maybe you can. But I think unless they win that division, I wouldn't say comfortably, but I think if they win that division, then maybe. But still, I don't see them as contenders. Um, I would say one of the best games of the week. I think it should have been a primetime game. Packers Texans. Packers won 24-22. Love went 24 of 33, 220, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Stroud had one of the worst games I've seen him play. 10 for 21, 86 yards and a 58.8 rating. McManus, the Packers signed him on Tuesday. Wednesday he went out and hit a 45-yard field goal essentially twice. Um, this was just shouldn't have been a close game. I think the Packers gave the ball to the Texans a couple times inside the red zone. I guess say we've seen kind of Love has been the definition of a gunslinger this year. So I guess how much of a concern are the Love interceptions?
I don't think they're much of a concern because they're still winning these games, and every time he's thrown a pick, he's responded with a touchdown.
Yeah.
And I think also in the post game press conferences, Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, they're Jordan Love. I love what he said. He said, "I need to clean up the picks, but it's never going to stop me from playing my game and being aggressive and taking those shots," which I think is really important. Even if you look at his predecessor, Aaron Rodgers, his thing was not turning the ball over.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
And that's abnormal. What the few interceptions that Rodgers threw in a season.
Yeah, and so that was his thing, was taking care of the ball, but it limited him it became him not throwing over the middle of the field. Like, he would just literally not target the middle of the field. And then that became a problem. Jordan Love's not playing scared.
Mm-mm.
He is still targeting the middle of the field. He's still taking the shots, and a lot of times it's working out. Occasionally it's turning into a pick, but as long as you're still winning these games, and I think even his decision making this week was better than last week, even though he did have multiple picks.
Yeah.
I think he's getting smarter, and he'll just continue to improve. The team will continue to improve, and it helps now that they have a really solid defense. You're able to take those shots.
Yeah. I think the moment that kind of concerned me is when they're driving to kick the game-winning field goal, and he takes that shot at the end zone with 30 seconds left. He overthrew both receiver and defender, but it's like at that point just throw it away and take your field goal. But again,
I think that's a shot you do take. I disagree. I think that was a smart play, because if your receiver happens to get free, his receiver kind of got caught up with the defender, but if your receiver happens to get free, then that's a touchdown. But he's not throwing it in harm's way. He's throwing it where only his receiver could get it, but instead it went over both.
I think this is like with Packer fans, it's like Favre was more of like a 1-to-1 touchdown interception. Like Love is a little bit more like he's going to throw 4 touchdowns and 2 picks kind of thing. So I think that you live with it because, I mean, his touchdown to Tucker Kraft was like, I don't know many quarterbacks that can make that throw. So I think you can live with it, but it's just going to be something that you're going to have to deal with and just know that it comes with how Love plays, and that's okay.
Bengals Browns. Bengals won 21-14. Burrow was 15 for 25, 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bengals had under 70 rush yards. T. Higgins had a great game, 4 receptions, 82 yards and a touchdown, probably his best game this season. Bengals defense had 4 sacks and 2 picks. Deshaun Watson, 15 for 17, 128 yards. DTR had 11 for 24, 82 yards and 2 picks. Jameis Winston was 5 for 11, 67 yards and a touchdown. Browns had under 80 rush yards. Tillman was 8 receptions, 31 yards, and David Njoku had a fantastic game with 10 receptions, 76 yards, and a touchdown. The Browns had no turnovers, but they did have 3 sacks. Should the Browns try to grab a quarterback at trade deadline, or is it not worth it at this point?
It's not worth it. I think at this point I do think you shop Myles Garrett because I just think there's a lot of problems. Like we'll talk about the Deshaun Watson injury, but he's done for the year. There's just way too many like problems on this team, and you need to hit the full reset button with them. So I think I'm sure you can get a lot from Myles Garrett. Like Newsom's getting shopped apparently as well. So I think you can get a good haul of picks for some of these better players and just hit the full reset button with them. But yeah. The Eagles beat the Giants 28-3. This was a return game for Saquon, and he just proved the Giants wrong in every way, shape, and form. He went 17 for 176 and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts went 10 for 14, 114 and a touchdown. Daniel Jones went 14 for 21 and 99 yards. He ended up getting benched at the start of the fourth quarter. So my question was going to be about Dable, but now it's just more of like, was this like the white flag? Was this it for Daniel Jones?
I wish that last year or even 2 years ago was his last season as a Giant, because I can have belief in Daniel Jones. I don't have belief in Daniel Jones with the Giants. Look at Jared Goff. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Sam Darnold. Look at these quarterbacks who have gotten a chance elsewhere and rejuvenated their career, had that fresh start. Daniel Jones needs that, and the Giants have not been giving it to him. I know they've been giving him money, but they would have done him a lot better by giving him a chance somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they're not doing themselves any favors, because clearly this is not working. And they've never, even though they've been paying him, they haven't actually emotionally been committed to him.
No.
They always are like, yeah, maybe, and then they're like, oh, okay, we'll pay him, we'll keep him, whatever. Yeah. They're not actually committed to him. You can hear that in the interviews. You can see it on the field. So I hope that it's it for Daniel Jones as a Giant. Like, I don't necessarily want him to get benched. I don't know if that's really going to do them any good. Brian Dable said that Daniel Jones is their quarterback, even though Drew Lock did have some time. But I want Daniel Jones to have a chance somewhere else, a legit chance, because I think Daniel Jones can play fine. And I want the Giants to get somebody that they actually want to build around.
But so here's the thing: is like you've seen like teams see how bad Daniel Jones is. I mean, it may be the system, it may just be him. Are there teams that want to take on that contract without really knowing that like
contract things can always be worked out I mean, you even saw it with in the receiver situation with Devontae and the Jets. They're working it out where, you know, it's they're taking on less.
Yeah.
So, the details of the contract, we always talk about it as if it's a huge thing. It never is.
Yeah.
They always work it out. It's really got to stop being a conversation. It's just a matter of, is this the move you want to do for your football team? Do you want to have him as a backup? Do you want to build around him? Whatever it is.
Yeah. Just there's not. I wouldn't say there's not many teams that are like super desperate for one right now. I mean, the Browns maybe, but I don't know if there's a team that is going to want to take the chance on Daniel Jones because I just think his probably confidence is super low right now because you get benched and like you said the team is just you can tell the team isn't committed to him and yeah he's getting paid but I mean he's just kind of going through the motions I feel.
Raiders Rams. Rams won 20-15. O'Connell was 6 for 10, 52 yards, and then Minshew came in after O'Connell went down, 15 for 34 yards, or 15 for 34 and 3 interceptions. Madison 23 carries for 92 yards. Bowers 10 receptions for 93 yards. The Raiders defense had a pick and a sack. Matthew Stafford was 14 for 23, 154 yards and a pick. Kyron was 21 carries, 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that was a great game for him. He keeps finding the end zone. Rams defense, 3 picks and 2 sacks. Will the Rams go on a winning streak as they get healthier? Next 3 games are Vikings, Seahawks, and Dolphins.
That Vikings game is going to be tough. I think that Thursday night game. I think if Cooper Cup is back, they have a real shot. I think that does so much for them if they get cut back and go beat Minnesota. Like they can make a run because of McVay and how well he can coach that team. But yeah, I think they can make a run. Absolutely. These next couple games, aside from Minnesota, are pretty easy. Who knows when Puka's coming back? They just are so banged up.
Kyron's
Um,
been on one, though.
yeah, he has been, and like McVay is just like he can coach. I feel like he can win with any team they throw out there. So I think this Minnesota test. I think it sounds like Cup is he was close on Sunday. Sounds like he's probably going to play on Thursday. But yeah, I think they absolutely can make a run because they have Stafford, they have McVay. Kyron has been really good these past couple weeks, so absolutely they can. The Commanders won 40-7 over the Panthers. Um, Jaden Daniels went out with a rib injury, so Marcus Mariota played the majority of the game. He went 18 of 23, 205, and 2 touchdowns. Andy Dalton went 11 of 16, 93 yards. Just why aren't the Panthers trading Bryce Young? Why is he just sitting there?
David Tepper.
Yeah.
Bad owner. It's another way that he wants to show control. And I'm going to do what I think is right, even if it's not actually right.
Yeah.
So it's messed up. Bryce Young should be traded if you're not keeping him, or who knows? Are they going to put him back in there this week? Maybe. Maybe
It's
they're
not
gonna
better with Dalton. They're not any better.
maybe they're gonna start him against the Broncos. I don't know. It's a mess. It's ridiculous. Bryce Young's been a soldier out there. You see him on the sideline. Just he has the headset on. He's listening. He's involved with the team. He's a good player, good locker room guy. All of that. I think the players have a ton of respect for him. Yeah, it's screwed up. It really is. But I wish they would. I wish they would make a decision and stick with it.
Yeah.
But right now they're not. Again, they're not making a decision. They're grounding him. That's what this is,
Yeah.
and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Make your decision. Do you want Bryce Young as your quarterback or do you not? If you don't, then just trade the guy.
Yeah.
Chiefs 49ers. This was supposed to be a good game.
I know.
It was not really a good game, even for either team. The Chiefs won 28-18, so in that sense, it was good for the Chiefs. But Mahomes was 16 for 27, 150 yards and 2 picks. Hunt was 22 carries, 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Noah Gray, who's probably been the better tight end for the Chiefs this year, 4 receptions, 66 yards. The Chiefs D had 3 picks and a sack. Purdy was 17 for 31, 212 yards and 3 picks, probably his worst game of the season. Mason was 14 carries for 58 yards. Kittle had 6 receptions for 92 yards. The Niners D had 2 picks and 2 sacks. What do you make of Brock Purdy?
I think he is there. He's getting exposed to I would say more of it is the red zone offense. I think that was like when you get to the red zone, it was like, okay, McCaffrey, you take the ball, and he's such a dynamic player that they're missing. Ayuk, I know he went down with an injury. Debo was sick. But I think this is just like the Chiefs defense is really good, and that's really scary because Mahomes is like middle of the road quarterback this year. He has been far from what we know he can be. So I think Purdy, he's going to get paid this offseason, but I think he's a very good pocket passer. He's a very accurate thrower, but I think at times he can get flustered, and that seventh round pick shows. So, I mean, I think they're going to roll with him, and I think he's going to be their guy, but they're not getting any older, the Niners. I think their window was last year because they're just so injured now. They're paying everybody. It's just a really tough. They're 3-4 now. I think their window was closed, and I don't think Purdy is a special enough player to get them over some issues like Mahomes can. Uh, Sunday Night Football. I know you enjoyed this one. The Steelers won 37-15. This was the most points the Steelers scored since 2021. Russell Wilson, this was his first start. He went 16 of 29, 264, and two touchdowns. Rodgers went 24 of 39, 276, a touchdown, and two picks. Devontae had three catches for 30 yards. Russ had a really bad first quarter, really bad. But after that, he turned it on, and
The offensive line had a bad first quarter.
that Tomlin was right. Um, we've talked enough about the Jets. We can talk about it more, but this is more the Steelers question. How good can the Steelers be if Russ plays like this? Are they contenders?
Yeah, they've been playoff contenders the whole season.
No, Super Bowl contenders.
Super Bowl contenders?
Just we know they're gonna make the playoff. Mike Tomlin doesn't make the playoffs.
I think they're a dark horse Super Bowl contender. Yeah, I mean he always is above 500 at least. Yeah, I think they're dark horse Super Bowl contenders. Still want to see more consistency from their offense, mainly their offensive line. Actually, that's probably my one concern for their offense. But yeah, I think they're. I think by week 12 we'll know if they're legit Super Bowl contender. Definitely by week 14.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean it's hard because it's like, oh, you beat a bad team, but also if they had lost, it's like, oh, the Jets are looking good. So then it's like, did you beat a bad team?
Narrative switch from week to week.
Yeah, they really do, especially when it comes to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers led team.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin was prepared for this game. He was prepared for any heat that he was going to get for starting Russ over Fields if Russ did look rusty, if the team didn't look in sync at first with him, but they got it figured out.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches at in-game adjustments. Mm-hmm. He's also one of the best leaders, and this team really rallies around him, and they believe in him, and they trust him, so what Mike Tomlin says goes in that locker, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and it shows, like, they have it down. It's Mike Tomlin's way, and it's a good way because you're always going to be a winning team.
Yeah, and I think we got to give a lot of credit to Justin Fields, the way he handled the situation. It's a very unique situation because, like, both guys are not under contract next year, so you don't really know. But the Steelers were getting booed, like, pretty heavily after the first couple drives. Russ just he got one big completion to Pickens, and then after that he was fine. But yeah, Russ, for not playing in seemed a year almost, he outplayed Aaron Rodgers and pretty badly. Salah-led defense is not what it was. Again, they fired. It was a Salah-led defense, and they're just horrible now. So
and again, Albrecht can't give it the attention because he has some responsibilities.
Yeah. So it's just a messy situation in New York with grumpy Aaron Rodgers, an impulsive owner. I know this is not at all what they imagined, but kind of what, as a Packer fan, you kind of aren't surprised. I don't know where they go from here because you're running out of time and you're running out of excuses.
Mm-hmm. Donald Trump was at this game.
Yeah, good for him.
Ravens Buccaneers. Ravens won 41-31. Lamar 17 for 22, 281 yards and 5 touchdowns. Henry had 15 carries for 169 yards. Bateman 4 receptions, 121 yards and a touchdown. Ravens defense had 3 sacks and 2 picks. Baker Mayfield 31, 45, 370 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Rachaad White had 2 receiving touchdowns, and the defense had 2 sacks. Are the Ravens the best or scariest team in the AFC?
I don't think so. I think the Chiefs are there. The Chiefs are like they
You think the Chiefs are scarier than the Ravens?
absolutely because the Chiefs defense is the best defense. Mahomes is playing like an average to below average quarterback. They have no receivers. This is a team that if they could go 15-2, I wouldn't be shocked. I think the Ravens with their run defense or run game is really good. Like Derrick Henry had another couple big plays, but I think that Buccaneers team has been exposed before earlier this year. They're pretty inconsistent, but yeah, I don't. I think that Ravens Chiefs AFC Championship is kind of where we're headed again, but the Chiefs just kind of they always
Maybe the
the Bills could be there. There could be some other who knows what the Texans could be, but
Steelers.
Steelers. I mean Bengals. Maybe they turn it on. No Bengals. What?
All right, that was a stretch.
I mean
Okay, then. Okay, the Jets.
no. The Jets are the Bengals have won 4 of the last 5. Anyways, but I don't. Yeah, I don't think that. I think as long as the Chiefs are there and they don't, the Chiefs are still undefeated and they have played horrible football. Mahomes is tied for the league lead in interceptions. So no, I don't think they're the favorites in the AFC. Just the Chiefs are just very good at football. The other Monday night game, the closer game, the Cardinals beat the Chargers 17-15. Murray went 14 of 26, 145, a touchdown and a pick. 6 rushes for 65 yards, and he had like a 44-yard touchdown run. James Conner went 19 for 109. Herbert didn't play horribly. He went 27 of 39, 349. He didn't have any touchdowns, though. That was their biggest issue was they couldn't finish drives. They settled for 5 field goals. So my question is more about the Cardinals is how do they find consistency? Because they've been so up and down. They haven't won. I think I saw this thing that Murray hasn't won back-to-back games since, I think, 2023. Like, early 2023. It's been a while.
How do the Cardinals find more
Yeah.
consistency? I think they really want to run the offense through Kyler, but you need to run it through James Conner. James Conner is a football dude. He's an absolute dog. He's aggressive. He's a
big
physical
dude.
runner.
He's a big running back.
He's fighting every play. I think you need to run this offense through James Conner, allow it to open up the pass game where Kyler then can shine, where he can have his, whether it's him running or him just escaping, doing his little jitterbug thing and throwing a deep pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like this offense can be really fun. It can be even scary at times, but they gotta run it the right way. Right now they're trying to run it through Kyler and his arm and his legs, and then occasionally. But it is just leading to mistakes, I guess, or inconsistency. Kyler is not a consistent, accurate passer right now. That's never been his game.
No.
He's been more of a fun, freestyle, highlight reel.
Yeah.
And also disappointment reel. Like he has the both. So run through Connor, and then let Kyler shine. So yeah, that was it for week 7. We're already hitting the midpoint of the season, which is crazy. For game balls, my offensive game ball goes to Lamar Jackson. I mean, 5 touchdowns. Yeah. He went off. He was having fun out there. That was a good game. The Ravens are just ascending in general. But yeah, 5 touchdowns. You got to give it to him.
My offensive game ball goes to Jared Goff. 22 of 25, 280 and 2 touchdowns. I think it's been like 3 weeks now where he just has been like, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get 5 to 6 incompletions. You're going to get 250 and a couple touchdowns. Yeah. He has complete control of that offense, and that Lions team looks very good.
Now, for defense, I want to shout out Marlon Humphrey, which I know I wasn't going to give it to somebody who was on the same team as, on offensive defense, but he had 2 picks in the game, and he went out early in the game. Who knows what he would have done? Maybe he would have had another pick. Yeah. But I ended up giving it to Brian Branch in Detroit. He had an interception, pass breakup. He had 2 tackles that resulted in defensive stops. Only 2 receptions allowed. He went crazy.
Yeah. So I had Brian Branch also, but I think the other one I was kind of in between was Eric Wilson, linebacker for the Packers. He had 2 sacks. He had a handful of tackles. Like he was all over the place. He was all over the place. We saw him. He made 1 play last year in the divisional round against the Niners on the punt return. I think ever since then he's solidified himself in Green Bay as like a solid linebacker. He blew up a couple plays. I think a lot of their young guys have done that. So I would say, yeah, I think Brian Branch was mine, but I think Eric Wilson had a phenomenal game.
And I think the reason that his game was impressive is because he stepped in for the Quay Walker who went
Yeah,
down.
yeah, he
It
went down with the
wasn't,
concussion.
yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't planning on wearing the green dot on the helmet and everything. Um, so yeah, for coach of the week, I am going. There's a few that you could give it to. I'm giving it to Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald of the Seahawks beating the Falcons. That's a good team that you
Hmm.
come like prepare for and beat. I
Yeah.
mean that's no joke. That's a lot to handle, and
Hmm.
they handled them well. I
Yeah.
mean they
Yeah.
they beat them convincingly.
Mine is Mike Tomlin. I think that just with the heat that he took, like there was nobody outside of that Steelers locker room that said just that wanted Fields benched.
Mm-hmm.
He knew what he had. Russ was the starter before he got hurt, and he knew that, and he stuck with it. He didn't get flustered after the bad quarter. He stuck with Russ. It paid off, and the Steeler fans are should be very thankful on Monday. I don't know anybody like there was talk last year like oh Tomlin maybe get move on from Tomlin, but he's no like you don't get rid of Tomlin. I don't care how bad you think you are. It's Mike Tomlin. He made a great decision and one that could end up making them contenders.
For fantasy, so it's funny. I had pretty good fantasy turnout. I only had one player that kind of disappointed. I guess my other lower scoring was an injury, but for personal best, Brees Hall 26.1, Metcalf 19.9, and Jordan Love 16.8. For personal worst, Mike Evans with 9.5, but he left in the first half with the injury. J.K. Dobbins 9.6, and then Kai Fairbairn had 12.
My top three: Lamar had 34.4, Saquon had 26.7, and Kenneth Walker had 23.3. My bottom three were Younghoe Koo had one, the Niners defense had five, and Devontae had six.
Okay. For overall best and overall worst, so overall best team, Lamar 34.44, Gibbs at 32, Amon-Ra St. Brown 25.2, Rashad White at 29.1, Pickens and Thomas Jr. both had 22.1, Njoku had 23.6, the Broncos defense had 21, and Cameron Dicker had 21. And for overall worst, Mishnu, who played most of the game, he had negative -. 164
Mm-hmm.
points. Zamir White at 3.7, Cortland Sutton put up a goose egg. Isaiah Likely had 3.7, Bucks defense had -5, and Hopkins had -1. So yeah, that was rough. That was some rough
Yeah,
outings and
yeah,
some for some fantasy.
yeah, and of course the week after I cut Mark Andrews, he has two touchdowns.
Yeah, of
So
course.
yeah,
Maybe he just didn't want to play with you.
clearly.
It was actually you, yeah. Well, that's it. We'll take a break and then we will get into weekly news. And there's a lot of it injuries. All right, so for weekly news, again, a lot of his injuries. We also have a few signings. We'll start off. Brandon Ayuk is out for the season with a torn ACL and MCL. Really tough blow for
Mm-hmm.
them. The Niners have already been taking a lot of hits in general, especially on their offense when it comes to injuries. And it's tough for Brandon. He wasn't having a great year
Mm-hmm.
yet. The Niners were inconsistent in general, but you never want to see this.
Yeah.
Now it's a long rehab for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think I texted you at like during the game when Ayuk dropped what was a big play in the game. He hadn't just had so many of those drops throughout the season, and then he goes down with this injury. You know, he had the holdout earlier this year, and just it's not getting any better for the Niners.
Raiders signed Desmond Ritter off the Cardinals practice squad. They Aiden O'Connell did go down. We'll get into that in a minute. But Minshew didn't look great, and Ritter's a guy who we've seen be able to kind of step in and get some
Mm-hmm.
get some wins, or at least make an offense look uh more
Solid.
competitive,
Yeah.
I guess. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. We'll see if they even go for it,
Mm-hmm.
but like as a starter. But MVS signs with the Saints. The Saints were wanting another receiver, especially with Shaheed going out onto IR. So Marcus Valdez-Scantling was out there, and I think that's a pretty good pickup for them.
Yeah, I mean the same. I mean Rashid Shaheed. That was kind of a shocker. I think he's out for the year. But yeah, MVS is a deep threat, and yeah, they need a receiver ever since since Shaheed's gone for the year.
Debo Samuel has been hospitalized due to pneumonia and fluid in his lungs. Right now, there's no timeline for his return. And then also staying with the Niners, George Kittle has a sprained foot, and he's considered day to day.
Yeah, Debo. I mean, tried to play, but then like he was jogging off the field. He did not look good, and hopefully it's he can get over that quickly. Yeah, I mean, anytime you're hospitalized for an illness is not good.
Yeah. We do have a flex, so not for this week. It's the next week, week 9. Indianapolis Colts and Minnesota Vikings game will be moved to Sunday Night Football. The Jaguars and Eagles game will be played at the 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock Eastern time on CBS. So
Yeah,
interesting
good. And the
flex.
Colts, I know the Colts don't get many primetime games, so good for them. And the Vikings are playing well, and this is definitely a better game to watch than Jaguars Eagles on Sunday night.
Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will practice Wednesday, and they are hopeful everything goes well for him to clear concussion protocol and play Sunday versus the Cardinals, according to head coach Mike McDaniel.
I kind of have a question for this for you. He was asked about wearing a Guardian cap, and he said he's not. Do you think that's the right move? I guess it's a personal choice.
Yeah, he said it's personal choice and it's his choice. So if this is what he believes is best for him, then yeah.
I mean, hopefully he can put all of these head injuries behind him. So we'll see.
Sure. Rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, he's undergoing tests to determine the severity of his rib injury. Initial tests on Sunday show that there's no fractures. There will be more tests in the coming days. Right now, he's kind of day to day, possibly week to week. Again, we still need to see what happens with the tests. It's probably not. Assuming there's no fractures like the initial test had shown, it'll probably be more the kind of thing of can he throw the ball is going
It's
to
a pain
determine if he
tolerance
can
thing.
play. Yeah, not actually the severity of the injury.
That's a big game. I really hope he can play because him and Caleb would just be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, there's just more testing, but I think when it's all said and done, it'll just be a pain tolerance
For
thing.
sure. Raiders quarterback Aiden O'Connell, he is out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured thumb. That's why he exited the game and Michigan came in, and also why they signed Desmond Ritter off the practice squad. The Raiders didn't. Yeah, that's just rough. They just started him. Like they had just benched Michigan week
Yeah.
prior, and yeah, so now he goes down. Um, Deshaun Watson is out for the season with a torn Achilles. I do want to say when he went down, um, it was a non-contact injury. You right away knew it was bad, and when he's leaving the field, the fans are booing him, and it was a disgraceful
Yeah.
scene. It was so messed up. The Browns fans didn't learn anything from when the Colts booed Andrew Luck when he decided to retire at halftime of a preseason game
Yeah.
because of injury. You guys have to understand this is more than the game that you love, the sport that you love. This is about the people. These are human beings
Yeah.
out there playing. Deshaun Watson's been a great leader, a hard worker. He has been through so much. Miles Garrett attested to it. Jameis Winston attested to it. Greg Newsome attested to it. Kevin Stefanski attested to it. This is more
Yeah.
than just, oh, he hasn't played as well as you wanted, or, oh, now your season's down in the dumps. Whatever. No, this is serious. He has a big
Yeah.
injury again. He has another thing that he has to fight and come back from. He's been putting everything, his body, his life on the line for you guys day in and day out, and you boo him. That is just so screwed
Yeah,
up.
I think that the Browns fans deserve every bad thing that's coming to them. They have been nothing but um, horrible to basically any quarterback that doesn't play how they like it.
And
It's
it's
just
not all Browns fans.
it's not all. No. I'm not going to say it's all, but there were a good amount of people that were like cheering the injury. They were glad he left. They didn't like how he had played this year. It's not going to get better for you. I can tell you that much. So I mean, I just hope that I don't know that I don't want every team to do bad, but I think some Browns fans are just really selfish and they just I don't know they don't like anything that happens to their franchise. It seems to be, and yeah, this was just a horrible situation. And I think yeah, most I won't say most, but some Browns fans just really just horrible situation and horrible the way they acted after that. So hopefully Deshaun can come back. I don't know what the future holds for him, but yeah, we'll see what the quarterback situation is like for the Browns. But
This was a little bit of a surprise. Hassan Reddick agreed to a reworked short-term contract
yeah,
with the Jets. They are still possibly trying to get something long-term done, but he should be reporting to the team this week to hopefully play against the Patriots.
yeah, this I was very shocked by it. I didn't know how it was going to end. I think they said it's a short term contract. I think there was like $12 million in fines or something like that. But yeah, it sounds like he's gonna finally play, and um, we'll see what happens. I don't know how much they're gonna help them because they're in a really bad situation, but the issue is finally resolved.
Cornerback Paulson Adebayo with a knee was ruled out for the game, and he was carted off the field with a splint. We still don't know the severity, but when you're carted off, that's never a good sign.
Yeah, I think they said it was a fracture. I
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
sure
probably a
if
season
yeah,
injury.
probably season ending, but yeah, it was just a horrible situation. They're pretty banged. They're banged up the way it is. That they're one of the most injured teams in the league. So yeah, praise to him, and hopefully he can get back quickly.
Yeah. Rashid is on IR. We don't know that a season ending yet, but he is on IR, and it's trending towards season ending just because it's a serious injury. Now, if they can end up making the playoffs, then there's possibility of him coming back at that point. But for now, he's at least out for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Titans are honoring the request of former Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams for his release. He is healthy and just looking for his next opportunity. So we'll see who wants the safety. But
Yeah, I mean the Titans kind of weren't really going anywhere, and um, one of the better a veteran guy and just a team that's going to need veteran leadership.
yeah. Giants offensive tackle Andrew Thomas. He's expected to be out for the season. Former Cardinals first round pick DJ Humphries, who's recovering from a torn ACL, suffered or that he suffered last season. He's visiting with the Giants today. We'll see if that's kind of their replacement for Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, I that was their best lineman, so I don't. It's oof, they can't move the ball the way it is, and with him going down, I fear what this team offensively is going to look like.
Yeah. We had a few injuries in the games last night. Mike Evans exited the game with a hamstring injury. It looked like it was just a cramp, but then he was ruled out quickly for the game. Or if
Yeah.
it's such a just a cramp, they usually just try to like massage the muscle and then they're back. So it could have been them taking it cautious because he had been dealing with a hamstring injury, but we'll see the severity again. We don't know. Um, Marlon Humphrey left the game with a knee injury. He should be back and fine. Again, it didn't look
Mm-hmm.
serious. The one that was serious was Chris Godwin. He was carted off in the final minute of the game. His leg was in an air cast. It's a dislocated ankle, according to Todd Bowles. He will undergo surgery on his dislocated ankle and see a doctor today to determine the damage. He's expected to make a full recovery for 2025, but he will be a free agent. He was in a career year with 576 receiving yards, which was second in the NFL.
Yeah, just really, it was such a bad injury too, and like you said, last minute or so.
Yeah, the broadcast wouldn't show it again.
No, but yeah, I mean, if you saw the initial play, you kind of see what happened. But yeah, like you said, this could have been his last game as a Buccaneer. He's gonna be a free agent. He'll get a lot of attention from a lot of teams. But yeah, just two really brutal injuries for Baker and that Buccaneers offense, and hopefully they can bounce back.
Yeah. Braxton Berrios, he tore his ACL and is out for the season. That one kind of came, I don't know where,
Yeah,
like the news that it was an ACL, but that's tough. Again,
yeah.
another serious
Mhm.
injury. Jameson Williams is facing a 2-game suspension for violating the NFL's performance enhancing substances policy. So he's going to be out this week against the Titans and next week against the Packers.
Yeah, and it's not like he had a big game. He didn't play that well. But yeah, like I mean, 2 games can't be that bad of a substance if it's only 2 games. But yeah, I mean, Titans this week they should be an easy win. But yeah, that Packers game is going to be tough, and they're really going to miss him.
Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf, he left Sunday's win over Atlanta with a knee injury. He suffered a grade 1 sprained MCL and now is considered week to week.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's nothing too serious, and he can be back quickly. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that bad. It could be a lot worse.
Also, to touch on the Mike Evans injury, he is scheduled to undergo an MRI this morning. It's his timeless to be
Yeah.
determined though. So, and then lastly, a new quarterback in Cleveland. The Browns are signing Bailey Zapp off the Chiefs practice squad. Um, Dorian Thompson's Robinson's status is up in the air as well. Jameis Winston could start Sunday versus Baltimore, and Bailey Zapp might be the backup. So
Yeah, we'll see. It's just a whole mess of a situation there.
yeah. So yeah, that's it for the weekly news. We'll take a quick break, and then we will go into our Week 8 preview.
All right, moving on to week 8. The Rams play the Vikings on Thursday Night Football. This is one of my bold predictions, so I won't get too much into it.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Two NFC teams, like we said, the Rams are starting to get healthier. The Vikings are coming off of their first loss of the season, so we'll see how they bounce back. Packers, Jags, Cardinals, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots, Ravens, Browns, Eagles, Bengals, Colts, Texans, Titans, Lions, and Falcons, Bucks are all of the early games.
Yeah, Bengals, Eagles. I have 28-20 Bengals. I think the Bengals are starting to turn a corner. I think they still have a lot of questions, but I think this Eagles team is pretty inconsistent. So I think the Bengals win this one.
Yeah, how about that Ravens Browns game?
Ravens, Brown, yeah, 35-16 Raven. The Brown 16 might be too many points for the Browns, honestly. But yeah, I think this game could be over at halftime.
The Jets Patriots game is really fascinating, actually. Like, in a way. You know what I mean?
If the Jets lose to this game, they can wrap it up. They can wrap it up. I don't think it. I have the Jets winning 17-9.
You don't have them winning convincingly
I know I don't because there hasn't been a lot that I mean.
to be convinced about.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, like they're gonna hold the defense, the Patriots offense, to not a lot of points, but that's not very hard to do. I, I don't know, man. It's just that Rogers. The thing is, in Green Bay, his thing was he could move out of the pocket and he could extend plays.
And protect the ball.
He can't do that now. How much is it the Achilles injury? How much of it is the O line? It's just
Or that he's old.
he's old. He's
He
40.
didn't look good in his last year as a Packer. This is what people. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it's just
People are stupid. Okay. Cardinals Dolphins. That could be a fun game, especially Tua is back.
I have 17-13 Cardinals. I don't know. Tua, I think it might take him a game or two to get back into it, but I just hope Tua just stays safe.
Upright.
Stays upright, doesn't take unnecessary hits. That's just my biggest concern.
Packers Jags.
This one won't be. I hope it's not close. I have Packers winning 38-10. My predictions in this one too. Yeah, I don't think it'll be close.
Titans Lions.
Another not close game. 30-17 Lions. I just think that Lions offense is so dynamic and so much fun to watch. I think even without Jamison Williams, I think they could run all over that Titans team.
Now the interesting thing is this could be a hiccup game for the Titans because it's between the Vikings game and the Packer game. So this could be like a
You mean
little
the
pass
Lions? You
game.
mean the Lions?
What?
You mean the Lions? You said the Titans.
Oh, for the Lions because
Yeah.
they're playing the
Yeah.
Titans.
Yep.
It could be a hiccup game against the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying because they played the Vikings and now they're playing the Packers next week. So this week is the Titans.
This is a get right game for them. They need to like. This is a tune up game essentially. I think for them.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that because they just beat the Vikings. I'm saying that this could be a game where they drop because they're looking ahead. The Colts and the Texans. That could be an interesting division game.
Yeah. I have a 24-16 Texans. I think even though the Texans are a good team, like it's a divisional game. I think every game in the NFL, every divisional game in the NFL is close. I think CJ Stroud has a bounce back game, and I don't know, just Richardson. I don't. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't love the way Richardson plays because there's so many times where it's a QB draw, and it's just like you've been hurt before, like, and he doesn't slide. He just acts like he's a running back, and again, he's a big dude. He's kind of built like Cam Newton, but I don't love the way he plays, and he needs to just be more of a thrower of the football, and then once that gets going, then be more of a runner. But that offense could be so much better than what it is. I think.
Falcons Buccaneers. We just saw them a few weeks ago. They're playing again. They both are coming off losses, but seems still to be the fight for the top of their division.
I actually have the Bucks 31-27. I know there's a lot of injuries, but I don't know. I think Baker will figure it out. He always figures it out. This could be a shootout though.
He didn't figure it out last time.
He didn't. No, he didn't. But I don't know. The Falcons are coming off a bad loss against both these teams are coming off pretty bad losses. So this is a very important division game, and I think Baker is just he'll find a way. He'll find a way to win.
For the late games, it's Saints Chargers, Bills Seahawks, Bears Commanders, Chiefs Raiders, and Panthers Broncos. What do you got for Saints Chargers?
28-14 Chargers. That was a bad game last night. They did not play well. They didn't finish drives. But the Saints are not a good team. Chargers aren't. I'm not saying Chargers are great, but they're better than the Saints. So I think they win by.
They're better coach.
They're better coach. Yeah, I think they'll comfortably win this game.
Bills Seahawks.
Um, I think Bills win. I'll get more into that in my prediction. Yeah, I think the Bills win this one.
Bears Commanders.
This is
It's hard to pick
It's.
because we don't know about Jaden. But
I'm assuming Jaden's playing. If Jaden plays, I think the Commandos win 31-23. If Jaden doesn't play, I think the Bears probably win this game.
Chiefs Raiders.
Uh,
Mahomes almost it seems like he always has a bad game against the Raiders, which is funny.
I mean, he hasn't had. Has he had a good game this year?
No, I'm just saying
Yeah.
historically against the
Yeah.
Raiders.
I still think they win 27-16. I don't think that if their first loss comes to the Raiders, that's not good.
Panthers Broncos.
Broncos 21-13. I mean,
Oh, wow.
Bo's solid. That defense is pretty good.
I think the Broncos will win more convincingly than that.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it could, but I think Bo is still gonna have those rookie struggles, and even though the Panthers defense doesn't know how to tackle, yeah, I think the Broncos win this game.
This is a fascinating game, Cowboys Niners, because we've seen the Niners blow them out, blow the Cowboys out just even last season, but the Niners are injured. It's
such a like. I mean,
and the Cowboys are coming off of a bye.
Yeah. So if the Niners lose, that's not good, and if the Cowboys lose off a bye against an injured Niners team, that's not good either. So it's like, I think both of these teams, if they lose this game, they really need to take a step back and reevaluate their situation. The Cowboys I'll stand on it that they won't win a Super Bowl until Jerry's gone, which might be a couple years yet. So yeah.
The Niners will at least have more excuses, like, we have the injuries. The Cowboys won't have much excuses for losing.
Yeah.
Giants Steelers.
I have 21-9 Steelers. I think it could be more. Just that, no. Tomlin's just gonna run circles around Dable.
Yeah, and we don't have any bye weeks this week, which is fun. We're back to a full slate of football, so gotta love that for the midweek. So bold predictions. What's your first bold?
My first one is I think Love throws 5 total touchdowns. I'm not saying he throws 5. I think he'll have maybe 4 in a rushing touchdown, but I think he throws 5 against that pretty bad Jaguars defense. I mean, they played well against the Patriots, but that's not saying a whole lot.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going back and forth on one of my bold predictions. Okay. Well. I'm really going back and forth on this. Okay, we're gonna go with the Bengals Eagles. I'm gonna say that Joe Burrow throws for 4 touchdowns against the Eagles.
Okay, I think Bengals. I do think that they're turning a corner. My second bold prediction is a Thursday night game. I think the Rams win. I think Kupp is back. I think maybe the Vikings aren't ready. Maybe they're still a little flustered from that loss to Detroit. This is going to be a very well coached game on both sides.
It will be interesting to see how the Vikings respond to it.
It is, because I think that I truly believe that the Vikings need to lose a game, and how they respond after that. Like, they have an easy stretch coming up. They do. But if they drop back to back, and then I get you have a mini bye week after, but if you drop a Sunday and then you lose 4 days later, it's not great.
My second bold prediction is an interesting one, I think. Aaron Rodgers is going to have more picks than Drake May has touchdowns.
Okay. That's very bold. I mean...
Is it?
It is, because that Patriots defense, they looked bad against the Jaguars. I mean, to be fair, one of Rodgers' picks, I'm not going to give him an excuse, but that one of them wasn't his fault.
No.
But
he also hasn't been making good decisions.
Yeah, he hasn't been. This is I think the Jets need to...
But that could just be one pick. Drake may not have any touchdowns.
Yeah. I just think that, I think that the Jets need to blow out the Patriots for them. This is a close game in the fourth quarter, even if you win that's not a good... That's not good. My last prediction is I think the Bills beat the Seahawks in a shootout. I have 40-38 Bills.
That'd be fun.
I really do. I mean, Gino, both these quarterbacks, and just throw for 50 times a game. But yeah, I think this could be a very high scoring game between the two.
Yeah, I could definitely see that as well. I think that the Saints-Chargers game, believe it or not, I think this is going to be an overtime game that
Okay.
the Chargers pull out, but I think this is going to be Spencer Rattler's best game of his career, and again, I think the Chargers win, but it's not going to be an easy win.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a game-winning field goal for Digger. So
I want to say my bold prediction from last week was kind of right. I had Narvison hitting a game-winning field goal. It was McManus, so
it wasn't really right.
It wasn't right, but it wasn't totally wrong either. But anyways,
That was a great walk-off. It was funny because McManus, he kicked the practice kick because they, iced him, and it just looked effortless, and I think that gave Packer fans some calmness, even though there was trouble on the snap, on the
that was
actual
a bad.
kick.
Yeah, shout out to Dan Whelan. That was a horrible
He's
snap.
been the best puncher by far in the
Yeah.
league, and holder.
Yeah.
But the fact that a 45-yard kick looked effortless was so nice because 37-yard kicks were not looking effortless.
Extra
points weren't looking effortless for Anders Carlson or for Braden or for whoever they've had. Greg Joseph, like it was just like every kick was like, where when Braden McManus, I know it was ice, but like he just walked up, kicked it, like it was nothing.
Even if you're like a Packers fan, like you don't get comfortable even inside 30, you're like but it's like. I mean, even Anders yesterday on Sunday for the Niners, he drilled a 55-yarder and then he misses an extra point.
That
I was
poor
like,
guy. And then after that is where it went downhill for the Niners. It really was.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming it on him.
No,
that was rough. Yeah. But yeah, should be a good week of football. Again, it's fun to have a full slate, but we are already at week 8, which is really sad.
Yeah.
That.
What are you most looking forward to?
So I was gonna say Bears Commanders. It's hard though if we don't know because like there's just so many storylines. So if it's I'm still looking forward to it. I still think it could be a good game. I mean, Mariota played really well in that game, and I think their Commanders are a good team where they have a chance of winning whether Jaden's playing or not, in my opinion. But if Jaden's not playing, I'm not looking forward to it as much just because that takes a lot of the headlines and storylines out. Yeah. So if Jaden Pernille is playing that one, if he's not, then the Bills Seahawks game.
Yeah, I would say that one. And if that one, Bills, Commanders, Bears is that one if Jaden plays. If not, I think that Colts-Texans game could get really interesting because if the Colts win,
This feels like a 21-17, like a close game.
That game's always close, but...
could be an overtime game.
Yeah, it could. Because the Colts are 4-3, the Texans are 5-2. So, if the Colts win that game, they're looking good for how injured they are.
Yeah. So, but Scott Hansen's going to have a great week. He loves Red Zone. He has a full slate of football. So, we'll enjoy it. But, see you guys next week.